Hannah husband, duck walking in for the win. Ta-da! All right, welcome to another episode of Kinstretch with the Fitness Alchemist. We're really excited to get a very active hip external rotation class. And what we mean by that, you'll feel in a second, but it's really the strength training required to hold and maintain any improvements in your hip external range of motion can be a missing link if you're noticing that the stretching isn't enough to hold you and really own that new position. For props today, you're going to want 2 blocks or pillows. If you're using pillows, make sure they have some zhuzh to them so they can actually fill in some space and you can rely on them. But blocks work well too. We're going to get through a quick warm-up here with some side-lying hip cars. So go ahead, pick a side. Go ahead, lay down there and find a comfortable setup for your head, for your neck, and your base position of choice for your arms. We're going to go for 1 minute in each direction, 1 minute for each leg. So we're just going to tick-tock these hip cars. Start driving your top heel behind you. And for this warm-up, don't worry about working crazy hard yet. Really let the movement start to influence what your brain is noticing. So once you get your knees together, switch directions, and we're off and to it. Just feeling how this might feel different than other hip cars you've done either today or on previous days. As you get a feel for what's going on, try to keep your spine and your pelvis more still and find ever more range to move that thigh bone through. Keep going back and forth at your pace. You might be pausing at certain sections that you'd like to have more information about. Good stuff. 15 more seconds here. Don't forget about that all-powerful reach towards the floor too when you're going through these. From side-lying, it's a great opportunity to get your inner thigh tissue to turn on by reaching that knee towards the floor. And wrap it up. Great. Okay, so we'll return to those at the end as sort of a retest. Let's switch over to your other side. Brace to about 50% effort. Find your setup that feels right on this side, and then heel behind you to start. Smoothly rotating your thigh bone. Noticing any jagged corners or areas where your leg tries to move more quickly. That's usually a good indication of a spot to slow down or consciously pause at. You might think of keeping your bottom leg a little bit more heavy into the ground. And then again, notice the effort it takes to reach your knee towards the floor as you sweep back forward. Keep finding that inner thigh contraction. Nice. Past the halfway point. Let this just be another data set for your hip and for your brain in terms of understanding what's really happening at that joint. It all starts with better information. Go ahead and finish up the car you're on. And when you get your knees together, just pause and relax. Okay, so we're going to actually stay on this side. And rather than working on the top leg, we're going to do a lot of this work on the bottom leg. So I want you to actually stay in side-lying position with your top leg now straightened out. And if it doesn't feel strong to place that top leg on the floor, you could fill in that space under your ankle with one of your pillows or blocks. Hannah's able to get some good pressure there, so this works fine. And then make sure your bottom knee is straight out in front of your hip socket. It sometimes wants to tend towards your feet. So go ahead and make sure that knee is straight out. And then the other component is sometimes your knee wants to be off the floor. So see if you can actively pin it down or maybe even roll your body forward a bit if you're real tight in this area. If you really can't make space, then that's another spot to fill in with a pillow or with a prop. But once you have that propped up, you're going to brace your body with your arms, but now also with that top leg. Really make it heavy, okay? Don't let someone steal a $20 bill that's you're holding under that foot. And then with all that brace, we have a chance to start rotating the bottom thigh. So go ahead and go with us here. Find that rotation where your ankle comes up off the floor, but your thigh bone just rotates on the floor. So it's not coming away from the ground at all. And you're really starting to hone in on the external rotation ability of this hip joint. You can see Hannah's getting a complete stop at the top, and that's because she's trying to continue to lift it, but there's just no more range to be had. So that's the way to think of each of these complete stops. You're trying to push through that invisible wall, but it's just not there. And for these last 15 seconds, you might find more range if you can spend more effort with the rest of your body. So really dig in here. Heavy top leg. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay. Now, whatever space you were finding underneath your ankle, we want to fill in that space, which we can kind of go about with 2 ways. The first way is to use a block. So let's say you were lifting your foot just barely a block's height, then you would slide that block under there and then stay in side lying position. And just take a look here. That will mean that you barely get a lift off, and that's going to be where you'll work these holds that we're going to do. However, you can see Hannah was getting quite a bit of ways off of the block. So I'm going to actually have her change her base position by resting on the elbow now. And this effectively forces more hip external rotation just by changing body orientation. So now if she tries to lift that ankle off, probably going to get little to zero lift. Okay, nice. But what we're going to play with here is by moving that body position away. So we don't need that block because we're going to run into it. From this side frame position, you're going to actually reach your arm out straight, but real wide out to the side. This way, it's past your active range, but then watch what happens. You're going to lift your ankle or try, and then start bending that elbow so that the ankle comes away, and you're going to hold the moment your ankle comes off. All right, so do this next one with us. Find your position where you're not able to lift your ankle. Brace like crazy, make your ankle light like you're trying to rotate, and then bend that supporting arm so that you're training your absolute end range hold. 5 more seconds. Keep that ankle away from the block. 2, 1, and melt it back on. Bring your body upright. We're doing 2 more holds like this. Find that external rotation effort, then bend your supporting arm to take the ankle away. Hold it. Good. 10 seconds feels like forever. 4, 3, 2, 1. Set it down. Okay, before this final rep, if you're doing these from side lying, you're just doing a little lift and hold. Also, if you notice that you're not breathing, that's okay. We're just doing 10-second max effort hold. So it's okay to hold that breath if that feels like a requirement for you. Brace tight, final rep. Really feel that external rotation effort. Then bend your elbow so that the ankle comes with your body. 10-second hold here. Continue trying to add on that rotation for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and melt it down. Very nice. Okay, let's switch over to the other side and get some work in there. Okay. And now from here, again, start in side lying so that we really are able to feel what's possible at that hip. Top leg is straight, bottom knee is straight out from your hip socket. Then you're going to brace your body like you do for your hip cards. Real intense brace now. And then find that rotational effort. You're really trying to hone in on what muscles are actually working to create this rotation, and what can I do to send more energy or more effort to those specific muscles. I almost said explicit muscles, but that would be a different thing that you're watching. HR. Good. Keep working away at this. About 20 more seconds. Don't forget about that top leg. Good. If you're noticing your thigh trying to run away from the floor, keep that thigh on the ground, but just rotate it. So you really clarify that all you're wanting is rotation. Okay, on this last rep, take a look at your ankle height so you're able to get an idea of, okay, I see how much space I have there. And then go ahead and come up to your side frame or stay in side lying, but place a block underneath that ankle. Now, just a quick note. Hannah and I both have somewhat limited external rotation in the hips, but not all of you do. Some of you might be finding that your ankle goes over your knee. In that case, you might want a bit more block height, okay? Or even, get way more upright with your body. So just realize that there might be some differences in your body position needs, okay? So from here, you're gonna reach that straight arm out to the side, get a nice lean, and again, we're gonna do some holds. So start turning on that external rotation through the hip. Once it's on, ankle might still be on the block, that's fine. Start bending your elbow and feel the ankle come with your body. Top leg is heavy, holding with all out effort. 5, 4, 3, 2, and slowly set it down. Good. You can see Hannah has just like a finger's width between ankle and block. That's what we want. Just barely holding it off the block.
Also really different range on this side.
Yeah, each side will be very different. Okay, so first rep in the can, let's get the second 2 done. Brace, turn on that rotation, and then bring the ankle with you as you bend. Think of this constantly as more rotational ask on the joint. 4, 3, 2, 1, good, okay. Final rep, brace, heavy top leg, turn on that rotation like you're trying to lift your ankle and rotate your thigh, and then bend that supporting arm to bring the ankle with you. Hold it. Do your best to keep your ankle away from the block for 4, 3, 2, spend it team, 1, and relax. Great stuff, very nice. Okay. Now let's go ahead and come back to the first side. We're going to do a couple pieces from here. All right, so if you were just working there with the straight arm bending, then you're going to do this next exercise from side frame. If you were working from side lying, then you're going to stay in side lying position. And here's where you can use your block underneath your torso, okay, so that we're sure that that point's not going to move. And then we're actually going to place the other block right out. It can be kind of in front of your ankle, or you might find it works better under your ankle. You'll see what we're doing here in just a moment. So it will look something like this. You'll brace and rotate your thigh to lift that ankle. I'm going to sneak it under there for Hannah. And then from here, bend your knee so your heel goes towards your other thigh, and then start straightening that leg, taking care that the thigh bone doesn't move, okay? Go ahead, come on back, and Hannah, you can place your ankle on the block. All right, so set up your body to look roughly like this. Again, you might be in side lying. If you are someone with tons of rotation, this arm might be straight, but find your setup where you're just barely able to lift your ankle off the block, okay? And then we're going to do, we'll do a time, just 30 seconds of knee flexion and extension. So brace your body, rotate that thigh, lift the ankle, keeping the torso away from your bottom block, and then start bending your knee. Heel to thigh, and then reaching those toes away. The whole time, as your knee bends, you're constantly trying to wring out more external rotation in that thigh joint. Heel to thigh. As you straighten the leg, can you touch your toes to the ground while your heel stays up towards the ceiling? Good, final 10 seconds here. Keep working, keep rotating. 3, 2, 1, and melt it away. Okay, so now lose your blocks. Stay on this side though. And now bring your body upright. So now you are gonna straighten out your bottom arm, and you're maybe gonna slide your top leg out to the side as much as possible. There is a tendency here as you slide that leg to turn your pelvis towards the straight leg. You want to stay facing towards your front knee, the leg that we were just working on. And then this might start to feel familiar, like if you're familiar with a 90-90 position, that this is sort of like a 90-90 position, especially that front leg. And here's where you're going to look for a butt stretch. We're going to actually try to increase the range of motion that you have access to for hip external rotation. So we are looking for a stretch through the back of the hip, the back pocket area. You can also think of where do you feel that your femur bone meets your pelvis. It's kind of an abstract thing, but sometimes when you're really feeling things out, you can kind of get a sense of that point, and that's your hip joint. So that's what we're trying to feel for. All right. And we're not going to do a long passive hold here today. We're going to really just work on some isometric training, some intense training from this end range stretch position. All right, so brace your body, pack some air into your abs, and start thinking of rotating your thigh bone now so that your ankle gets heavier. So the opposite of what we just worked hard on, okay? You're really trying to make your ankle heavier and heavier. You can see Hannah's using her hand to provide a little target. The heavier you make that ankle, you can really ramp up the tension by also trying to lift your straight leg off the ground. It will probably not go anywhere, but just making that effort puts more pressure through the ankle, more leverage demand. Hold this intense effort. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Melt it away. Find that stretch again. And now instead of making the ankle heavy into the floor, we're going to try to do that same maneuver we were doing before of trying to make the ankle come away from the ground. It ain't going to move though, because we're real deep into your passive range. So you're trying to reach that ankle away. As you get a feel for that, you can also think of try to increase the stretch that you're finding in your hip. Use that ankle motion to try to increase that stretch. The more you can use your top leg pressure into the ground, the more juice you'll find in your body. I want you to ramp up to an all-out maximum effort contraction for 10 seconds. Good. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Melt it down. Okay. We're going to do that one more time, but this time we're going to go right from that pails where the ankle's heavy, right into the rails where the ankle's light. So we're going to try to turn the lights, or switch the gears rather, maybe a better analogy. Okay. So brace your body. From that stretch position, begin thinking heavy ankle or rotation of your thigh to make that ankle heavy. As you lock onto that, start adding intensity through your whole body by trying to lift your straight leg away from the ground, putting more leverage demand on that ankle that you're focusing on. Greatest safe effort here, 8 more seconds. Breathing around this intense body tension. 3, 2, keep your tension, and now switch the rotation. Think ankle away from the floor, try to pull yourself deeper into your stretch, and use that top leg as a heavy pressure point to help you. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Melt out down that contraction. Take a few deep breaths to just let your body settle into this end range. Very nice. Okay, so part of this whole game of improving your range of motion and your control is letting your nervous system relax and feel comfortable with these positions. So don't skip on the relaxation moment. All right, and then let's switch on over to the other side. We are going to start in side frame. This block is going to go one under your torso and the other under your ankle. So find that lift, and then if you have that other block behind you, you can just slide it underneath your torso. That's going to really help keep your body still in space. Okay. Now, just as before, we want to make sure that you can actually clear this block. So brace and just do a tester rep. Can you lift that ankle away from the block? Great. 1/2 inch is fine. Okay. And then we're going to incorporate the knee flexion extension to that rotation. So brace your body. Keep the bottom thigh on the ground, the top leg heavy, and then lift that ankle through the rotation of your thigh, and then start bending your knee. Trying to touch your heel all the way to your thigh if you can. And then as you straighten your leg, hovering over that block, try to touch your toes to the ground while your heel stays up to the ceiling. That will help encourage more hip external rotation. Keep working hard here, 20 more seconds. Your whole body is stiff as a board so that you can just control the motion of your knee from this end range hip position. Good. You might be getting your leg all the way straight. You might be just clearing the block. That is all good. 5, 4, 3, keep working. 2, push through the finish line and melt it away. Nice. So that really gives the brain an idea of where we're trying to go here. So now as we come up into a passive stretch position, just slide your straight leg out to the side.
Like your business partner.
And again, check that your belt buckle, your pelvis is facing towards your stretching leg, towards your stretching knee. From there, you can hunt for that stretch by leaning forward, lifting your tail feathers, and thinking of reaching your belly button for your kneecap or past your kneecap. All right? Now, I say this often, but I'll mention it again. We are working in 3-dimensional space here at the hip. So the micro adjustments might be very subtle for you, so small that someone couldn't see from the outside. And they might be an adjustment that I haven't mentioned. So I really want to invite you to just do a little hunting. Does it feel like more stretch if you lift your tail feathers a little bit more? Or maybe if you try to turn your belly button a 1/2 inch one way or a 1/2 inch the other way? I want you to take a moment to hunt and find that line of tension deep in your hip socket. All right. Now from here, we're going to do our quick pails rails set. So start thinking of making your working ankle, your front ankle, heavier into the ground. You can use your hand to help you. But really use that as a way to indicate a rotational effort or ask for a rotational effort from your body. As you lock onto that effort, start feeling that ankle as a leverage point so that you could even try to lift your straight leg away from the floor. This should help you ramp up your intensity to a greatest safe effort. Find that effort and hold that effort. Good. Really trying to get stronger right at this position. 4, 3, 2, 1. Melt it away. Good. And now might help to put your other hand either on the floor or on the inner knee and start trying to rotate the thigh in the opposite direction, kind of like all the work we've done so far today. Trying to reach that ankle away from the ground, rotate the thigh more, increase the stretch you feel, using that top or the straight leg as a heavy pressure point. Find that greatest safe effort and hold it. Can you pull yourself into even more external rotation? 3, 2, 1, and melt it away. Okay, one more effort, but this time we're going to go pails right into rails. So find that body brace. Start ramping up the heaviness of your ankle, trying to feel that pails contraction of your thigh. As you get a feel for it, maybe try to make your straight leg lighter, which will just increase the intensity of your whole body contraction, ramping it up all the way to a greatest safe effort for you and your body today. Whatever that might be. For 5, 4, 3, 2, keep your contraction and switch gears. Heavy straight leg to allow you to rotate that front ankle away from the floor. Try to find that same contraction effort that we've worked all class long. Can you increase the rotation on your hip for 4, 3, 2, 1, and slowly melt away that contraction, noticing what muscles in your hip and inner thigh melt away. That can give you a good idea of what was actually working during that rails contraction. And then just feel that stretch. Take a moment to let your heart rate and your breath rate come down. I really like to imagine that I'm inviting this position into my movement vocabulary. Hey, this is a nice way to move your hip. All right, and go ahead, come out of that position. So now we're going to just try to incorporate this new range into some real functional positions, some functional usable shapes that you might make in your body. So Hannah's going to show you the shape first from standing. I think her head gets cut off, but you'll see her in just a moment.
Who needs a head?
So you're going to want to set up in just a moment here with feet really nice and wide and toes pointing out a bit. This is a sumo squat type variation. And then you'll have your hands on your inner knees as you bend your knees and really use your arms to pry the knees out wide. Okay? I'm actually going to have Hannah turn though so that you can see what's going on with her spine a little bit better. So you can join us now here. Wide feet, toes turned out, and then use your hands on your inner knee, thigh area to really try to bias more stretch with your knees apart. Now once you get here, you should feel like your straight arms are sort of helping support you. Tune into your spine, especially your lower back, and see if you can reach your tail feathers up to the ceiling and your belly button forward so that we find that gentle curve in your lumbar spine. Go ahead, Hannah, show what we don't want just for a second. So we want to resist that feeling, and we want to try to really set up into what we'd call more of a neutral-ish shape for your spine. All right? Now from here, keeping your hands where they are, can you bring your hips forward, bending your knees more and getting your torso more upright? All right? Again, only go so far as you're able to keep that spinal shape. And then from here, start turning your glutes on by trying to pry your knees away from your hands, but realizing that they might not move. As you feel that contraction, really try to turn it up so that it's contracting your whole glute and hip complex. All your sits muscles and the side of your butt. When you feel ready, go ahead, take those hands away and make sure your knees don't move and you don't lose that contraction sensation in your glutes. Hold this here and maybe play with lowering your hips further towards the floor without losing the width of your knees or that shape in your spine. Breathing, feeling the intensity build. If you need to come up out of it, that's fine, but we're going to hold for another 10 seconds here. Feeling your feet on the floor. Feeling your strength. 3, 2, 1. Go ahead, come up out of it. Take a little breather. We're going to do one more 30-second hold. Again, get off that train whenever your body says, okay, I'm done. Definitely listen into your body, what it's asking for. All right, and let's settle into this same shape again. Hands on the inner knees. Find that spinal shape, belly button reaching forward. And then try to shift your torso more upright by prying your knees outward and bending those knees forward. Okay? And just notice here, that external rotation that we were just training so much of is incorporated into this wide stance squat. So just a heads up, if you can connect that feeling, that might help. Okay? And then from here, start prying your knees away from your hands. Find that contraction in your glutes, and then bring your hands together and focus on using that contraction in your glutes to support your body. If possible, sit lower, but don't lose that great spinal shape. And hold it here, breathing, feeling the heaviness through your feet, like at any moment you're ready to explode. 10 seconds, team. You got it. Nice, Hannah. Great intensity. 4, 3, 2, and push the earth away. Yes, very nice effort. Great stuff, okay? Go ahead, come down to the floor. All we're gonna do is sort of retest that hip car now that everything is very turned on and maybe a bit fatigued.
Just a little.
Uh-oh, I might have burned out my business partner here. Little bonus training going on. Okay, so to that end, I invite you to do another 50% effort hip car. What range of motion can you find in your hip that is easy to find? Not that you have to really work and scrape for. All right, let's do 1 minute of that type of hip car. Brace your body to 50% and drive your heel behind you. Smoothly float that shin up to the ceiling. Bring that knee forward. And then sweep those knees together. Pause and start going the other way. Tick-tocking your hip car at your pace through your range of motion. Zooming in, going slow, and noticing new sensations as they come up. Keep breathing, 15 more seconds. 3, 2, 1. Wherever you might be, go ahead and relax. Flip on over to the other side. Do that hip car. Find that brace, and then start driving your heel behind you. Reaching your shin up to the ceiling. Smoothly arcing that knee forward. Again, staying in a 50% effort range. So you're just trying to feel what is accessible easily for you. We do want your end range, but tone down the fight for that end range a little less than we might usually use for a hip car. Reach for that end range. Get curious about that end range. Very nice. Good. Last 15 seconds. Keep breathing. 3, 2, 1, and relax. All right, that was a great one. Please let us know any questions or ways to adjust as you come back for retakes of the class. We'd always love to hear comments and questions through TrueCoach, and we'll see you soon.